So manhood is being comprehensive. You're more than masculine, you're truly authentic. You're courageous but compassionate, strong but sensitive. The facade, the mask you're speaking about, we don't put that mask on for people to care about us. We put that mask on to hide what appears to be weak to the world. Because people see the peace, but that came because I learned how to live through chaos and loss and still remaining calm at heart. They see the family, but they don't see the sacrifice. Integrity is not an option, it is the standard. So there is no battle between two wolves to see who is the leader in a wolf pack. The alpha male or males is the male and female wolf. And when you really get deep, they're only leading a family. So I tell men, if you want to be an alpha male for real though, get married and lead a family. That's the key. The male lion sleeps 18 to 20 hours a day. He don't really have to raise up because he don't even hunt. When does the lion raise up? When predators come. You got it, baby, you can do it, baby. You stronger than that, let's go, let's go, let's go. It's not, man, you a loser, man, you soft. I'm gonna kick you off the squad right now. You gonna be on the bench, you ain't nothing. One is condemning, one is uplifting. Yelling is a powerful tool when they know you love them.
Hold up, limitless, take a stomach, got pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling got me up. On the mission got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. Only vision I can trust. Trust, limitless, take a stomach, got pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant.
There he is.
Oh,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Run this way.
My man.
Yes, sir.
Finally, brother. It's a pleasure,
finally.
man. It is a
I've
pleasure.
been waiting on it for a
Finally,
minute.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
For sure. She ain't gonna say something crazy.
I got some questions.
You got some
We know you
questions.
do. We know you do.
We get an opportunity to have a ton of conversations on this show, but to have Jason Wilson here, best-selling author, and the work you're doing with the union, along with your wife, I don't want
Can't leave her out.
I don't want to forget her, but every day continuing to inspire. And it's one of those things, you've been doing this work for decades before I finally saw the viral video. And you start to think to yourself, it's like, what are they doing at the cave that is transforming these boys, that this man had so much patience with this young man going through what he was going through. And so I just want to say thank you for all that you're putting out in the world and giving us this opportunity. Flying here, actually, I was watching Batman, and Bane was talking, and he said, nobody cared about me before I put on the mask. And it was a superhero villain thing, but when I listened to that, I feel like so many men feel like they have to put on a mask in order to be cared about or in order to be thought of as valuable. Why do you think so many men struggle, Jason, with having the ability to open up and show the world who they truly are?
Well, first and foremost, I believe that the facade, the mask you're speaking about, is not, we don't put that mask on for people to care about us. We put that mask on to hide what appears to be weak to the world, appears to be a failure, appears to be wounded to the world. And so it starts from childhood. We're told when we're young, big boys don't cry. And then when you become a man, no pain, no gain. So there's no escape from the facade. And men today are crying out, just wanting to be human. And I was watching on social media earlier and I saw a clip from Dana White. And I was really surprised to hear him say that men's mental health is BS. Considering that we have, 17.5 veterans who take their lives every day. Considering that men die by suicide almost 4 times as likely as women. Considering that over 70% of violent crimes are by us men. And to me, it was irresponsible because I have to look in the eyes of men and young boys who are battling, should I be a human or do I just appear to stay strong? Similar to what Bane is saying, when he put that mask on, no one recognized the young boy Bane. And that boy had to be put away to become this villain. It happens when we become men. The broken boy inside of us never really gets a chance to heal. So we become this man with this broken boy inside of us. And then we're wondering why we can't navigate through our emotions or even the simplest of conversations with the women in our lives. We're quick 0 to 100 because we haven't had the opportunity to truly embrace who we are as authentic men. And emotions aren't just for women, they're for us as well. But the analogy I give in my latest book, The Man, the Moment Demands, a crayon analogy, you know, when we were younger, you had the 8 box of crayons, then you had the 64 box. You were the man if you had the 64 box of crayons because you could do more, you could color more. You had more opportunity to create different patterns and the sky could have different hues. But today, I compare the 8 box of crayons to the emotions that we allow ourselves as men to feel. And it's typically, they all go back to anger. Anger is the surface emotion, but below that is sadness, depression, struggles with lust. You have abandonment, you have the mother and father wound, but we're taught only to appear strong, only to be masculine. And I got this epiphany before I created the term comprehensive man or comprehensive manhood, when the Most High said, I need you to look up the word masculinity. And when I looked up the word, I was surprised that it wasn't a comprehensive definition of what a man is. It's a list of attributes like boldness, aggression, and strength. That's it. And so when a man is only locked into those 3 modes, he's not experiencing life. That's why we're leading in suicide. We take care of everyone but ourselves. I go through the mall. I was just in Dubai with my wife in Italy. And the man, when he's old, ready to, he's retired, he can't even walk. But his wife and everyone he took care of, they're moving freely. Because Danny even said it in the interview that your job is just to provide. No, our job is to be human, to be authentic. Yeah, you gotta provide. I provide for mine, you provide for yours, but it's more to life than that. And it was even, you can't be a good father if all you can do is make money. You know, what kids need, they're not concerned about the presents you can give them, they're concerned about your presence. Are you there? Yeah. I know so many multimillionaires who are fathers trying their best, never home. So it's more than provision, it's more than protecting. You gotta be a lover, you gotta be a leader, you gotta be a nurturer. The greatest coaches are nurturers. You're cultivating something. And so we've allowed ourselves for society to pigeonhole us. And then to go back to the crayon analogy, when our wives or the women in our lives, we're in a heated discussion or something meaningful, we can only meet them with, say, green, and she's coming with lime. So we're frustrated now that we have to put yellow and green together just to meet her in that moment. When all the entire time we were given a box of 64 crayons but didn't feel safe enough to express.
And Jay, why you brought that analogy up? That was part of my study. I was going to bring it up. Now that you said, now you can't go, man, that's a good question, RC.
but to what he just said, the provide, protect. That's what we hear, provide, protect. And the emotional side, like you're saying, what you speak about all the time and, you know, saying amazing things that you're doing. But like the emotional side of it, somebody got to be the rock. I talk about it all the time. Like for my family, I have to be the rock. Everybody's crying. Everybody can't cry. If everybody's crying and I start crying, now it's just a bunch of people laying around crying. Like somebody, you know what I'm saying?
But see, no, for real. But see, that's the misconception of men's mental health. It's not telling men to go somewhere and wallow out in weakness. It's saying be human and release what's holding you back. Emotional suppression, men who suppress their emotions increase their chances of cancer by 70%. Also, men who suppress their emotions or humans increase their risk of premature death by 30. And that last one stand out to me the most because I worked with a lot of boys over 20 years in Detroit. I can't tell you how many boys weren't allowed to feel fear and now they're in the grave. Okay, they're told to man up, be tough, man. I had one kid I'll never forget, wanted to join the Cave of Adullam at his school. I said, all right, I'll see you Monday. Very popular. Went to a party he wasn't supposed to be at because there was some guys that didn't like him. He knew the guys probably would want to kill him, but he went anyway for his rep. I get a call from one of the students Monday morning driving to work, kid crying, boy got his life taken from him. So in marriage and you're taking care of your family, absolutely, if everyone's crying from fear or stress, there needs to be someone steadying that ship. But like the Irish proverb says, never trust a warrior who can't cry. He's hiding something. Every man is human. And then Dr. William Frey, the biochemist, he discovered that tears not only contain water when we cry from trauma and stress, but it contains stress hormones. That's why we feel better after we cry. To me, the most liberating thing I could have done is cry in front of my wife. And I share that because I would always hold the pressure of everything. And then one day, my mother was deteriorating from dementia. Here it is, trying to be strong, and I'm losing my mother. Men coming up to me say, stay strong, that's the last thing I need to hear. And I just released in front of her. That moment, she said, made me look even stronger because she never knew what I was feeling. But when a man is able to show that side of him and still wipe the tears away like y'all playing, if you lost in the playoffs, y'all cry. Don't nobody say nothing about that. You win a trophy, y'all cry. But if your mother's dying, you can't cry. If you finally get to marry the woman of your dreams, you can't cry. My best friend, Gabriel, he was standing behind me at the wedding. My wife, Nicole, is coming down the aisle looking beautiful. He leans up, he was like, dog, if you cry, I'm hitting you in your back. And I didn't cry, I held it in.
Yeah.
And I missed being there for that moment. Do you understand what I snatched, even from my wife, for her to know that she's everything I need and long for? I allowed the pressure of only being this fighter, only being strong, to steal a beautiful moment that I can't even get back. And that's the problem with that. Like, you know, if your wife is say someone died in the family, the kids are crying, your wife crying, you can hold it together. But like the comedian Bill Burr said, what you gonna do, go in the garage with a beer, hide out, swallow the depression, the sadness, and then it comes out later? It's best to be a part of the family. Let them see you cry, but then let your son see, hey son, that's over, it's time for us to move on. Because when he gets out in this world, he's gonna judge life by what he sees from you. And if you're constantly hiding who you really are, he's gonna feel worse when he feels fear, when he is emotional. He will say, man, I'm not a man, I'm not like dad. And then you wonder why the kids take the other route, the other path. So that's why I push comprehensive manhood, because it's innately in us. Yeah, you wanna be a warrior, you wanna fight, you wanna protect, but you also wanna love, you wanna be a nurturer. Be courageous, but be compassionate, be comprehensive.
Oftentimes you hear, like, they say men's mental health month, right? In that is men, is man, is masculinity, but we forget about the kid that's inside of the man, right?
Yes.
And there was a quote that I saw you say that stood out to me when you said, it's easier to teach young boys than repair broken men.
Absolutely.
You know, how do we get there? Like, how do we nurture the child and focus on that before they get to that stage where they are a man, and everything that they've learned throughout their life cycle, now it's even harder for them to get that trauma out of them, you know, once they get, if I'm trying to question or word it the right way, like, how do we get there?
You know, you're hitting it right on. The quote is actually from Frederick Douglass. He says it's easier to raise children than it is to repair broken men.
Got it, okay.
And I add to that, he's correct, but we shouldn't leave men broken. And that's what's happening in our society. To your point about how do we meet young boys where they are, we call it in the cave a moment on the mat. And what I love about martial arts, especially jiu-jitsu and judo, your fears and anxiety are gonna surface. You can't hide behind a helmet. It's gonna come out. And in those moments when a boy is triggered by some trauma from being bullied, I meet them right where they are. I give that boy what I always wanted. You know, my premise is to live from what I long for instead of what I lack. And so us as men, especially you three brothers who are very influential, and I salute you for the work you're doing, allowing this platform to be used for conversations like this. When a boy can really see how strong you are, but then how sensitive you are, like Yeshua or Jesus, to be able to get down on your knees and meet them right there, they'll run through a wall for you. One of my favorite evaluations for the cave is that students improve their grade point average by, one letter grade without tutoring. What happens? Because they're finally able to not only express what they're feeling, but they get to release it in a space where they won't be condemned for feeling or being a human being. when that happens, they still strong. They still fighters. But now the other side, the academics, the honoring their parents improve, respecting their siblings, respecting themselves. So meet them right where they are. Give them what young Fred wanted as a boy. When you can live from that good in your heart, instead of the fear of how we'll be perceived, that's when the generations can change.
Jay, when does it get to, though, we are not holding adult men accountable for their decision making in the moment, right? When you do have a family at this point and you do have the responsibility of providing and protecting, and you try to point to those past traumas that maybe men haven't dealt with, but when does it start to be where we're pushing mental health so much, we aren't telling them that in this position that they are now in as adults, they need to be better decision makers because their mother and their father or their past experiences or their past traumas aren't the things that are present today?
That's really good. Well, to what Dana said, that I agree with that, you have to push through. A lot of, and this is probably why he misconstrued what men's mental health is, some men take that for an opportunity to be lazier, to be inactive, apathetic, and not face what you're really hiding. So you have to be careful because we're just having this conversation really pretty much. My first book, Cry Like a Man, came out 2018. That was revolutionary for the time to tell men to cry and open up. And it's just 2026 now. So first things first, men need to make sure they have a reputable therapist. And see, we understand what it takes for when you get trauma to your knees, to your ankles, to your shoulders. You're not playing if you got a torn ACL. What happens if you got a torn heart from a father wound who only condemned you your entire life? So you don't know how to model what it looks like to love your wife, even your children, or how to be responsible. Maybe you had a drinking habit. Maybe your mother abandoned you. So the point is, like, yes, we need to, I don't like the word accountable. This is, and I have to be careful here. I don't believe any of us can hold our friends accountable. What I mean by that is, Channing, if you struggle with pornography and you say, I'll be your accountability partner. For you to hold him accountable to make sure that he doesn't watch pornography, you got to be with him 24 hours a day. What we teach the men that I'm around, we teach self-responsibility or self-accountability. We believe that the only one can hold you accountable is the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of the Most High, because he's with you. If you're a believer in Christ, he's with you everywhere you go, okay? So now, the self-accountability piece is crucial, but that's where the counsel come in. That's where the therapists come in. That's where an experienced and reputable coach come in. That's where the camaraderie comes in. So if you're not if we get closer, brother, like I hope we do, I open that for you too as well. If you're struggling at home and we have a conversation about it with your wife, or you hear that, the way I talked to Nicole wasn't respectable, I expect you to say, hey, Jay, did you make that right with her? That's the same thing I do with you. But one of my favorite scriptures is Proverbs 27:17. Iron sharpens iron, so as one man sharpens another. To your point, when you talk about camaraderie and what does it take to get a man from this dormant state to fully on fire, it requires sharpening, friction, being uncomfortable. I trained in martial arts almost 30 years now, and I studied one art called Iaido, where you study the sword. And I had to learn about sharpening and how to use a katana. And it's not effort, it's not strength, because all you need is, if your form is correct, the blade will do the rest of the work. So when the friction comes, a lot of us run. I'll text some brothers, say, how you doing? That's loaded for them. They're not used to someone sincerely asking you, how you doing? So they don't respond. What we see now is polishing partners. We polish each other's swords so that when we draw, it looks like it can cut the struggles, the sin in our life, but it can't cut nothing because we haven't really invested in that friction. And the reason we polish each other, if we're honest, because we got some things that we want to hide too. So if I don't tell you something, if I don't tell on you, you don't tell on me.
Yep.
That's the thing with being a polishing partner. I don't need them around me. I need men to call out what they see in my actions, hear in my words. And I'm open to it because you know what that does for me? You know it. I'm gonna say it when you slip. I'm gonna call you out. You gonna call me out. I'm calling you out.
Yep.
But that's love. Anything outside of that is compromise. And if you see your brother struggling, we gotta be willing to let sparks fly sometime, but not in a way where it leaves our brothers condemned and hopeless, but that they're challenged and loved,
And is it, especially with kids, to the point about man and kids, like you're saying, a grown man, address him. Don't talk to your lady like that. You shouldn't do that. Don't be out there. Like a grown man, I'm comfortable with telling them that's unacceptable. But almost like athletics with kids, like coaches have to figure out what motivates this person. So even broken kids or kids that are going off the path, there can't be a cookie cutter way of dealing with them. How do you figure out, or how can we figure out we're dealing with? I got a 14 and a 5-year-old son, 13-year-old daughter.
Wow.
Like figuring a way out to that Chaz and Channing are two different people. They need two different motivations. And as you have students in your in your class, like how do you go about figuring out what that kid needs?
There is no template model when it comes to raising children or mentoring children. Everyone's different. Our children didn't come with manuals. Okay, you can study it. Like my daughter is amazing with her study of the mind and psychology, and she's going to be an awesome mother. But when she had that baby, it's going to change everything.
Yeah.
And so what I do with the boys, again, meeting them where they are. My mother was there for me, but how do you address a young boy who is acting out because his mother traded him for drugs? So again, it's about how would young Channing feel in that moment? Put yourself there and see, that's the struggle right there. If you're not used to being a verbal processor, basically being able to articulate what you're feeling on a deeper level without raising your voice, you can't meet your child where they are. That's why it's important to be comprehensive. They need dad as protector and provider, but they need him as a nurturer as well. And so in that moment, I got my son, Jason, for instance, is growing up, was outgrowing his age, meaning his body. He wasn't as coordinated as he wanted to be. I never had that issue. Whatever I wanted to do, I could do. But in that moment, I said, I prayed, can I feel what he feels? And I really got the lesson, Channing, when my mother had dementia, because I had to learn whatever was her fear, I needed to be right there with her. Instead of sitting across from her as she's having a panic attack, I learned to sit side by side with her and see what she sees. So if she's terrified of balloons in that moment, her son Jason is terrified of balloons. Whatever it is, I'm meeting you, mama, in that moment. Now, to your point earlier, I called it the dementia roller coaster. When she would get on these panic attacks and these outbursts of anger, I would get on there with her. Next thing you know, I'm emotional, up and down, up and down. My life is struggling. I learned eventually, no. You can get on this roller coaster. I'm gonna walk with you and meet you when it's over and grab you by the hand, and we'll take our journey together. To my point, and I don't mean to be long-winded but it's something we can't really hammer out in one conversation. Work on yourself first, far as like what's holding Channing back from being more expressive and emotional and transparent with his children. That's where I would start at. When you can find out that piece, then it becomes easier because your desire for you to even pose the question is in a good space. You just need to allow your heart to lead a little more in that moment, and you'll be able to navigate through whatever they're dealing with, but you just want to meet them there and whatever's big to them. And I'll have to say this, excellent question. We tend to minimize our children's stress. And what I mean by that is the classic, we all grew up around the same time frame. If I was to tell my father I'm tired and I'm in 8th grade, he'll say, wait till you get a real job, boy. Wait till you gotta work 10 hours a day.
100%.
You got it? That is dismissive of what they're going through. And then you wonder why when they become teenagers, they don't wanna talk to us. They got a job, it's called school. They're there 7 hours a day. They're working, they have bosses, they're called teachers and principals and administrators. They have coworkers they don't like, they're called bullies. So but if your heart isn't open enough to really be that type of warrior for your children, we're gonna keep missing that moment. But because you asked that question, brother, you right there. You just need a little more introspective work, and you'll be able to meet the moment because it's clearly you care. And I'll be there for you, brother. You can give me a call whenever. I
First
got
off,
you.
y'all two grew up around the same time, not us.
You already know. For you to ask me to walk here, Fred, he asked me, so I'm thinking it's around the block, right?
It was close.
And I got my bag. So I get in the car.
We had internet.
Hey, so the driver driving, Fred, I'm like, I know my brother Ryan didn't think a 56-year-old man gonna walk a mile to the studio before the conversation. But yeah, so clearly y'all not our age.
Hey, I get it all the time.
Jay, I walk. I want to, you mentioning your mother, and I thank God my mother is still here. I listened to your post about your mother's passing and how you're still dealing with it. And I listened to every word. She called you the son of sons, and she talked about your love. At what moment in her life was that recorded, Jay? And what did it mean to you to have those words so much that you still held on to them?
When you talked about being strong for those that depend on you, my mother had a mini stroke one day right before I was about to teach class, and Nicole walked into the space where we were training, and she said, Mama just had a stroke. So all the students out on the mat and the fathers are on the stage, and she says, you need to leave now. In that moment, I'm like, okay, I gotta stay strong. And that's all my students ever saw. One of my students, Genesis, he asked, could he pray over me? And I say, sure. So all the boys surrounded me and just started praying over me. Then the fathers came down and started praying over me. And I broke down, started crying. Initially, I was like, man, how will they perceive me now? From that day on, I liberated them to finally express what they've been struggling with. That was a pivotal moment in my teaching and the training because they were getting good with the martial arts, but their hearts weren't martial. Their hearts weren't liberated enough to fight for the things that they need because they couldn't express it. Now, to your question, I'm driving to the hospital. I see her in the bed. And her legs, brother, was just jumping up and down. The doctors were like, they were baffled, like, what's going on? And they asked me, could they see the video? Because they had never seen anything like it. Now we understand it was trauma release. My mother's trauma, all the years of my grandfather, her father being lynched and beaten. Her first marriage, she was abused and beaten severely. My brothers were in the same house where their father would shoot guns when he was angry, would slap them with the flat sides of butcher knives. When you repress that emotion and hold it in, eventually it's gonna come out. That recording, brother, happened after she left rehab. And I gotta share this part too for men so they don't misconstrue what it means to be sensitive and caring, but then you gotta bring the lion back in. We say be the lion and the lamb. The rehab place where my mother was, they wanted to keep her because they could make more money off of her, but my mother was ready to go. So she was in a wheelchair in front of me and the director came in and they were like, we need to keep her another 2 to 3 weeks. And I looked at her, I said, no, you don't. I said, I'll be back here in 15 minutes and I need you to have her at the front. And I said, I'm serious. She left. My mother turned to me and smiled because the entire time I'm the lamb, but then that lion came out. And they respected it because she said I had to go talk to our board. I said, you need to do whatever you need to do to get my mother waiting for me when I come. That's when the world can recognize, yeah, you're caring, but you don't want to hit that other side of that man. When I took her home, bro, I laid her in the bed and the Holy Spirit said, get your phone out and record, hit record. I'm like, okay, you know. So I hit record and I got on my knees and I said, you feeling good? You okay? She was like, yeah. And she said, I'm just so thankful for you. And, you know, that's when everything you heard online came out. And when she called me the sons of sons. And then when I said, well, Mom, you know, I wasn't a good boy growing up. And she was like, immediately, no condemnation. You gotta be young. You gotta be you. She was just letting me know you're gonna make mistakes. Mistakes are great teachers. The only bad one is the one we don't learn from. And I just cried. We cried together that day. And I thought she was about to die, you know, hearing that. Yeah. Man, she lived another 2 years, but that was God saying, I'm gonna give you something that you're gonna need.
Wow.
Because people see the peace, but that came because I learned how to live through chaos and loss and still remaining calm at heart. They see the family, but they don't see the sacrifice. They see the boys transforming and changing, but they don't see the literal blood that I had to spill to make that happen. To surrender my vessel to the Most High so he could use me in a way that countered the culture. So that moment there, I mean, I was just at her gravesite. You know, I go clean it off, put flowers down, and I push play. And you know, it's nothing like having the love of a mother. And as men, we've been told to seek unconditional love, right? I want someone that's gonna love me for me. And the closest you get to that is the love of a good mother. And this is why I get on my boys and the teenagers like, my man, I get that you're upset because your dad ain't here, but you're crushing the one who is here. And that's why I gotta help you understand, like, dude, if she was to die, who's gonna take care of you? When your heart is broken enough to be used in that way, the tears don't bother you anymore. People saying things about you don't bother you anymore. It's a freedom. It is truly, as it is written, a peace that passes all understanding. You better love your mom too. By the way, my sister Sharice fell in love with her with like 2 days. All right, so yeah, no, if your mother is living, cherish her. Like, I'm serious, and everyone watching this or hearing this who don't have their mother here, they tell you, like, man, every day, every second, if you can go see every day. I saw my mother every day almost when she had dementia, every day almost. I tell you the truth. Now that she's gone, I have some peace. I left it all on the field for Mama.
How old was the young man that asked to pray over you?
Probably 7.
7?
Wow. Because it was just when I first started.
Right. Did that give you the feeling that you were on the right path with the kids, and that way you were able to continue to push forward?
Yeah, well, not when he asked, but after I broke down crying.
Right.
And then the next training, the boys started opening up. We have what's called emotional check-in, where we lay out a list of emotions. They got to pick one and say, I feel this way today and this is why. So we're basically teaching them how to become verbal processors so that you don't be that man in the garage that's angry and can't come in the house and share how he feels. We started noticing that instead of the template answers, I'm mad, I'm sad, I'm angry, whatever, because this happened, they'll start saying, well, today this person said this to me and it made me feel this way, and I'm still carrying that anger. Me being willing enough, not vulnerable, because I don't like using that word when it comes to men's mental health. Because what we're really trying to say is not be vulnerable. We're trying to tell men to be transparent or emotionally open. The word vulnerable, when you look at the word, it means susceptible to danger or harm. We're all vulnerable if a gunman come in here and we don't have any guns, all right? No man should ever desire to be in a vulnerable position for himself or his family or his loved ones. But that moment of me being transparent, Fred, that's when the boys were like, I can be free. Right. Same thing with culture. Even the quarter zip trend, for instance. Right? Did you see, I hate the word YN, because you're not that. You're a young prince that's misguided. But they transformed from the Nike Tech to the quarter zip, the tie, the slacks. I loved it. You don't see that much of it anymore, do you?
Sure.
See, we're big on teaching them how to tie a tie, but not why not to tell a lie. We don't teach enough about character. We have grooming etiquette in the cave, so it's very important. But what's more important is to teach character, how you carry yourself. Integrity is not an option. It is the standard. When you have myths being pushed like the alpha male concept, which the creator of the concept debunked it, said there is no battle between two wolves to see who is the leader in a wolf pack. The alpha male or males is the male and female wolf. And when you really get deep, they're only leading a family. So I tell men, if you want to be an alpha male for real though, get married and lead a family. And that's the key. To the point about culture, you had the Cosby effect with Cosby Show, where everyone wanted to go to black colleges. Then you have the other effect of culture. Like I come from the hip hop culture. I used to DJ. I was in a rap group called Chaos and Maestro. I was thankful, have a great relationship with Chuck D and Public Enemy. He got us to do a couple of concerts with them. I know as a DJ in Detroit, I could put on a certain song, and if I wanted to leave early and still get paid, it'll start a fight and I get to wrap up. Let's go, baby. We go in the Mexican Village. Social Mocos was one of our favorite spots. I share that to say the influence of a culture. We got to deal with everything when you talk about mental health. Certain music I used to love, I can't listen to anymore. I can't stand in front of my students and in my iPhone, I'm listening to a rapper who promotes trap houses, selling drugs, misogyny, and violence. So you got to draw a line, and that's the challenge. Because I love hip hop. I can still make beats to this day. I can still DJ. If you had turntables right here, I was a battle DJ. It's still in me. But I saw the transition from this to this. What happened? Corporate interests got rid of that and said, here you go, take these.
Yeah.
How do we get that back? That's affecting our children. I see it every day. And so when we talk about men's mental health or mental health in general or emotional wellness, we got to deal with the cause and effect. What is it doing to us, even our children? And so that's the crucial piece to being what you didn't see. Yes, we should use our experiences. Like to this day, I'm thankful that I can apologize to a culture of people I allowed to be misled through my music. That was never the way. That's why I don't really blame the rappers, because I saw the shift. I was in Capitol Records with Chris Webber, because he was coming out with an album, and the CEO at the time said, you can't rap about this. You gotta rap about this. I said, is that really true? He was like, yes.
You had to make this, you had to switch over
So
for the bread.
yeah, and that's what's happening. So who defends those who really can't defend themselves? These kids are trying to eat.
We got to.
Yeah, we have to. You're doing it with this platform.
Yeah, no, and I wonder, you said something earlier, the lion lamb. You want to have the lamb emotion and warmth, but you need to be a lion sometimes. And when your mother said, I'm gonna leave this hospital, then you kick that lion in. Well, I'm gonna leave. Hey, I'm be outside in 15 minutes. Y'all better tighten up and get my mama to that curb.
Absolutely.
I think it's almost like with football, it's that where go out here and, like we used to do defensively, go out here and knock somebody's helmet off. And then the game ends and then be a calm person again. But I think with parenting or with raising young men now, that lion-lamb switch, you have to explain to them when to turn on the lion and when to turn on the lamb. And now I think it's almost a parenting thing for me because I'm asking about my sons now and my daughter. Well, my daughter, I'm trying her basketball-wise to turn into a lion on the court.
She's so sweet, though.
And she's so sweet, nice, loving lamb, but if somebody get a fast break, go bow him in the back of the head. But then the game's over, Jay, and I'm like, no, be Ava again. But with my sons, I don't want them to go out on the park and get punked and, all that. But every time I get off the phone, they know, I love you. I kiss everybody. I tell everybody I love you. Like, I want that lamb, but I think with young men nowadays, especially with the social media, the lion-lamb switch is a hard.
There is no switch.
But it's hard to teach. How do you teach the lion-lamb switch?
Model it. My son, let me break down the lion and the lamb. You want to live from the lamb or be in lamb mode. That's the parasympathetic state, where you're calm, you're chill, you can recover. The sympathetic state is fight or flight. You don't want to be in that. All right? Now, I want to live in the lamb state. I want to be here, right? Where I'm at with y'all. The lion is the aggressor, the fighter. The male lion sleeps 18 to 20 hours a day. Mm-hmm. He don't really have to raise up because he don't even hunt. Mm-mm. When does the lion raise up? When predators come. Yeah. You see? He ain't got if I live in the lion, that's like me putting my foot to the floor, the pedal to the floor of my car, and that's how I drive every day. Stoplight. You know what I mean? Yeah. What happens to my engine? It burns out. That's why we burnt out. No. I got it. First gear in my sports car is masculinity. I need to be strong, powerful, whatever it takes to get from being stuck to moving. Now I'm in second gear manhood. Now, okay, I can chill a little more. I can use wisdom and navigate my emotions without succumbing to them. Go to third gear and fourth gear, I'm cruising. Our boys are stuck in first gear. They never were taught how to shift. My son, model what the lion and lamb looks like. I wrote my book, I told a story. We just bought the building for the union, our nonprofit in Detroit. And my son wanted to play basketball, similar to your daughter. They had a gym on the third floor before I changed it to the cave. I said, well, let's just go to the building so you can shoot around. I'm new in the area. Drop my guard. I did. Go in, he's hooping, playing around. I walk out, I'm strapped. I legally carry a gun. But I had my back, I turned my back to the door to lock the door. And I hear a voice on my left say, they're trying to kill us. No, they're trying to kill me. I turned to him, I said, who trying to kill you? They're coming around the corner, so I draw my gun. The car, sure enough, a Suburban, maybe 4 to 5 guys in it, they come around. I had a decision to make, and this is the key of becoming a verbal processor or being able to process in real time. Because if I would have been in lion mode in that moment, whoa, no, boop, 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 boop. Now they, boop, 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 boop. And I'm looking at my son bleeding out. Instead, I stayed calm because I've been through a lot. So this, I'm not even shook with this. Like, you need to, at the time we didn't have red dots on our guns, optics. So I had a laser, so he saw a green light shining at him. I'm like, you need to stay there because this ain't making sense to me. If they trying to kill you, why you standing still? Okay, I got chased before for my starter jacket in Detroit. So I know you don't stand still when someone's trying to come get you. Right. I tell little Jay, I said, hey, son, I need you to go back inside and go all the way to the back of the building. Everything's gonna be okay. I lock the door and I see my son's face, because we had these small, like, glass where you can see in, and he's looking scared. To your point, I'm like, it's gonna be good. Inside of me, I didn't know if this was the last time I see my son. I didn't need him like Simba in Lion King. Mufasa, like, feared for his life, feared for his son's life, because he was trying to be what? The beast. Mm-hmm. And he says, I didn't know kings got scared. See, that's the problem. Simba should have known. He said, I was scared that day. I didn't need my son to see this hyper masculine, facade that there's never a time to use wisdom. Just draw your guns and start blasting. He walks to the back of the building. I turn, get in my stance. Suburban comes around. I'm waiting, and they did a U-turn. At that moment, I look at the young man because I kept him in my peripheral. He on the phone. Called them.
Called him.
They aborted, and he started running that way. I said, so you gonna run in the direction of the people trying to kill you? And this is crucial, bro. Get my son, get back in the car. I come home, and I'm sitting in the living room, then I go to the kitchen, and I'm just like this. And I told Nicole what happened. She says, you okay? I said, yeah, I'm good, but I need a moment. If I would have kept that and not released it, I would have came out later, somebody would have bumped into me. What you doing, dog? You see? Or my wife don't agree with something I said. Why you always challenge me? Why everything gotta be an issue with you? Because I didn't release, because I was calm in that moment. The lion wanted to come out. He did come out, but that lion, to be truthful with you, I was gonna blast.
Yeah.
But I said, nah. See, this is what wisdom does. It peeps out the foolishness. It's pessimistic, really. Solomon says, with much wisdom comes great sorrow. When knowledge increase comes grief. Because you get to see what's real and what's not. The blessing is, I could see the outcome is prison time. If I would have just emptied a clip on a car of guys just driving around in a circle. In my house, Channing, I sat there, allowed myself to cry for a moment, because I was, man, the moment of you not knowing if you're gonna see your son again, that's real. And it was still there. My nervous system was remembering that. Like, my man, that's still there, Jay. We gotta deal with that.
Yeah.
And because I'm a comprehensive man, I said, oh, let me sit here and release that. Nicole gave me about 10 minutes. I'm back laughing, having fun with my son.
I love that.
And that's what we need as men, for it to be modeled.
All right, this is the time of podcast beef, Jay. So I'm gonna tell the world about our one beef.
Who
that
beef?
we had? Me right now. Me and Jay had beef before.
beef?
You don't know that? Yeah, we had beef.
Besides you asking me to walk here?
Listen, don't bring out the line. I heard about the line already.
We were talking about domestic violence at one point, and I said that I see it differently when a woman hits a man as opposed to a man hitting a woman. You commented on it, and because I have your number, I was telling Chan about this, because I have your number, I was like, I'm just gonna text it, right? Because the one thing, because we actually weren't fighting or debating, we were having a conversation.
We were, yes.
A lot of times people, especially on social media, they can't recognize that two adult men who respect one another are having a conversation. So I wanted to take it offline and do that. When you explained, okay, that you had been through this with a young man and had to protect him, that just didn't register to me, right? Because like the way I see it is, if a young man is putting his hands on a woman, not only is it the emotional and the mental toll and the abuse and that trauma, there's just a physical mismatch that I just don't feel like a woman can overcome. And for a man, I do feel like there may be some sort of emotional imprisonment or mental imprisonment, but you have the physicality in most cases to remove yourself from that. Can you explain to me now, because I still didn't truly get what you were explaining to me. Can you explain to me now why you see domestic abuse the same from both sides?
I need to see that post, brother, because I don't, my mother was abused and I don't see it from both sides. I think I may have came from the angle of us not really knowing what happened.
Gotcha.
But to your question about physicality being enough for a man to stop this, that ain't it. It's the emotions. One of my martial art instructors said, emotions are great servants, but poor masters. When you let them rule you, you become their slave. What stops a man from doing this? What stops a man from alcoholism? What stops a man from abandoning his children? Yeah, he's strong. What is that? It's here and here. When you're mentally and emotionally unhealthy, you can't govern anything. You see it in boxing when a fighter gets in his feelings and you got one that's still poised, bang, 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 bang. You got one that's being aggressive and one being assertive, only punching when the target is there. The one who is a slave to his emotions gets knocked out. So until a man can learn how to navigate his emotions without succumbing to him, stop running from them, and start facing them, he's always going to be that slave. Road rage, you name it. It was in Iona, Michigan, two brothers, white brothers, were with their families. I teach this, it's heart-rending. Got into an argument, pulls over in the parking lot and shoot each other to death.
So
And I got the pictures because I love putting faces with situations like that. And I asked men, how do you think those two men felt dying in their own blood, their warm blood on their bodies and their children and wives crying over them in that moment? Do you think they probably said, man, if I could hit rewind? See, that's what it does when you're an emotionally stable man. You can hit rewind before you push play. You can see it unfold and say, this is not advantageous for me to do this. Time to abort. But as long as culture promotes, first and foremost, I apologize, brother, because this is something I learned. It's not about the intent, it's about the impact of the intent. So although I meant well, I believe it may have even hurt you to some extent. And what I mean by that is like, I'm kind of challenging you in front of people and we know each other. Mm-hmm. I should have hit you on your phone. So I apologize for that publicly.
I respect that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, seriously. And I got reminded of that recently with a popular rapper. And I just agreed with the longtime friend of mine who made a statement about something he said. I get a text message with a screenshot from what I said and said, OG, this hurt. Mm-hmm. And I looked at that and the Most High was like, you gotta understand, you my ambassador. You speak when I speak to you and through you. You don't speak without me. Mm. I called the brother, we talked an hour. I apologized, said, hey man, I wanna thank you, sharpening me, because I'm not my own no more. When I surrendered my life to Christ Yeshua, I'm not my own no more. What you see, it really ain't me, it's him in me. I need to be very prayerful when I speak because I represent him. This is why people don't believe. The scriptures say the unbelievers blaspheme our God because of the believers, their actions. Mm-hmm. You see? Yeah. So here it is. I knew better. I said, you know what? Thank you, Abba, which is Father in Hebrew, for your grace. I'm not doing that no more. So I apologize to you because you my man.
No, but that's the thing. Like, and they know me very well. That was also though my respect for you wasn't going to make me do that public. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was like, no, I know him. We can text. But that's
what make it even worse what I did.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like, and so, you know, and that's why we always have to be on guard. You got to kill the flesh because at any given moment, you can make that mistake. That's why I stay humble. That's why I don't judge people. You know, like, if I was in that position, I hope I wouldn't do that. But condemnation closes the door.
Jake, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How do we decipher though, right? You know, because I love in the start of the Man the Moment Demands, like you're just talking about how it's like, we always like man up, you know, all of these phrases that literally, I played sports, right? I played sports my whole life. I was always told to man up, gut through it. And I lived by that, Jason. Like truly, like I taught my son in many ways that way. Now, I loved him so much and we had so many conversations, there was that balance, right? Because I was always telling him, I have to teach you how to be responsible for a family and a wife and children. But I just loved him so much. I also wanted him to be able to explain to me why, right? Let's talk about this. And so we had that balance, but how do I decipher between what's masculinity and what's toxicity and then sometimes ego? How do you tell your young men the difference between those things?
All right, that's really good, bro, because again, and I want to say this again so brothers don't misconstrue what we're saying, you have to be able to flip that switch. You have to be able, like, when I worked 12 hours a day for Coca-Cola, I ain't had time to be crying. I had to get to work because my daughter needed insurance. You got me? I had to put that music career on hold so I could provide for my family. Now, to your point, let's say yelling, for example. So in the cave of Adullam, people see me being able to help boys navigate their emotions. Some of them cry, some of them have anger, whatever. I'm not always like this in the cave talking. I said, come on, Jeremiah, you got it, baby. You can do it, baby. You stronger than that. Let's go, let's go, let's go. It's not, man, you a loser, man. You soft. I'm going to kick you off the squad right now. You're going to be on the bench. You ain't nothing. I knew you was a hoe. Get out of here. You a mama's boy. See the difference? One is condemning. One is condemning. One is uplifting. Yelling is a powerful tool when they know you love them. They'll run through the wall when they know you love them. See, yelling, pushing them through drills, teaching them, like, having control when you're tapping your brother out, like, don't go right to the lock. Count 1, 2, 3.
Give them time.
Control. That's how we teach them that. They got to get used to it. When they leave our homes, they're not going to have men like us around. I want you to, my son Jason, I want you to deal with your boss if he raises his voice at you. Jason, I didn't like the way you handled that discussion in the meeting. I need you to do better next time. I don't need you to get in your feelings. In that moment, you say, yes, sir, I completely agree. If you don't agree, you don't need to say it in that moment. Wait till tomorrow and say, hey, can we have a meeting, sir? And then you learn how to express yourself for real. I've told men that I respect, when they offended me, you hurt me. I don't say you pissed me off. See, anger, I call it a surface emotion because underneath it, I use the earthquake for the analogy. The epicenter is where we are now, where everything we love, things in life. Then you have the hypocenter, which is where the earthquake begins. If we can express those emotions there before we get to the go-to anger, we won't damage what's on the surface. For instance, if I'm lonely, that's at the hypocenter, which is at the base. Then you have seismic waves, which causes the eruption. The next emotion is lust. Now I'm angry because this woman won't talk to me. Now I'm violent. Instead of dealing with, why are you lonely? I have unresolved anger. Wow, my father didn't tell me he loved me until I was 37. My brother Larry was killed when I was 3 years old. So that means my mother, who I found out was in a deep depression, she couldn't give me the love that I needed in my formative years because she was deeply grieving her son who was murdered at 17. He just got a scholarship to college. So a 3-year-old walking around the house, hey, what's going on? And everything changed. I'm lonely because I didn't really deal with all that.
No.
And I'm careful there because that's my formula. That's what happened with me. And I could go on and on, but I'm to the point in my life now where I've told everyone enough about the trauma I've been through. I would love for people to start seeing the joy I experience.
Jason, that brings me to, we usually ask our guests their biggest pivot in life, but it seems that, you just said that you don't really want to go there. So I want to ask you something else, and then we can wrap.
No, I was just saying in general. Go ahead, bro.
No, because I think it's very important for men to understand, what you would say about this particular question.
Okay.
So that's why I want to ask.
Right.
What does masculinity look like in 2026?
The same way it always did. It's an adjective. Believe it or not, you're going to be shocked maybe if I tell you this. Harriet Tubman exuded masculine attributes when she grabbed that gun and said, let's go. We got only so much time, and you play around and you sacrifices, you may gotta go. It's always been there. We as men have allowed this one adjective to confine us to a miserable life. And every man watching this and listening understand what I mean by that. You got the cars, the watches, the jewelry, the cigars, all of that, and you're miserable. Because that's all your life is, providing and protecting. But in you, you got something that you love, that you want to do. Maybe you want to start a garden like a farmer. Maybe you want to paint. Maybe you want to be a chef. Masculinity is one tool in the toolbox for as men. Even in ancient Israel, Deborah, the judge, and Barak, who name literally meant lightning. And the Most High said, I need you to go now and go to war and fight. I will free ancient Israel. He didn't want to go. He was scared in that moment. We don't know why. Well, we do know why. Well, you would assume because the army he was facing was massive. But Deborah said, if I go with you, because he said, I won't go without you, all the glory will go to a woman. He didn't care. He made a decision in that moment. Mentally, I'm not here. I could jeopardize our whole army. I need you up front. I'm still gonna fight though. But I need you connecting with Yah. Whatever her role was, he needed her. So I think your question is, what does manhood look like? So manhood is being comprehensive. You're more than masculine, you're truly authentic. You're courageous but compassionate, strong but sensitive. You're free to live from the good in your heart instead of your fears. That's what comprehensive manhood is. It incorporates strength, boldness, aggression, hardworking, discipline, focus. But it also incorporates nurturing, being a gentleman. We're so messed up, man. It's chivalry is now looked at as pandering to women. When I studied it, chivalry was a code for medieval knights, the warriors of their day. How is the family? How is the children? I'm opening the door for the elderly. You see, when you have wounded men leading, you create a generation of wounded men who are following. So comprehensive manhood is the way. It's how we were designed in the beginning. You had David, the greatest warrior to me in the scriptures, period. Throughout the entire book of Psalms, he's crying out to the Most High. But you dare not test him. He was not the one to play with. He slayed a giant that tormented ancient Israel. And it was so bad that the men of that day sent the boy out to face a champion, 9-foot giant. But because he had the heart, following the good in it, got rid of Goliath. And because of that, his son Solomon never had to fight a war for 120 years. See, when we model it and we live it, yeah, it's hard right now. It's revolutionary what we're trying to do. But like our ancestors, brothers, we're not doing what we're doing for the day. We're doing it for what our children gonna see, what they gonna have. And that's what comprehensive manhood offers.
I don't know. I've watched podcasts, I've watched it on social. I think seeing it in person sometimes makes it real. I thank you for this conversation. I think it was long overdue for us, for you and I. And I'm glad we got to have that conversation in person as well. Just continue to do the work that you're doing. I know you know the impact that you have on Detroit. I know you know the impact you have with what you guys are doing with the union and in the cave, but it's comprehensive that you are touching people who never even get opportunities to shake your hand.
Thank you. It
Man,
means a lot. I'm honored to finally be here.
Yeah.
And experiencing it live is definitely different than on YouTube.
My man.
All the good stuff, I thought you were talking about me. I'm the epitome of manhood.
Hold up, limitless. Take a stomach, got a pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling got me up. On the mission got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On this vision I can trust. Limitless. Take a stomach, got a pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling got me up.